This is Awesome St. John Jason, the original Red Ranger. You are watching the Morphin Network.
Carson's Corner is a black LGBTQ-owned small business. They sell merchandise and apparel on pop culture franchises such as Dragon Ball, King of the Hill, Sailor Moon, and of course and most importantly, Power Rangers. If you're interested in getting their amazing merch, be sure to check them out at carsoncorner.com. Link will be down below.
Hello, welcome to Phoenix, where we discuss the latest technology to fight the dead man. I am George, and today we'll be talking about Kamen Rider Evil. Kamen Rider Evil uses the two-side driver in order to access one's dead man in order to be able to fight other dead man. However, unfortunately, the driver was recently stolen, and we have no idea who is it that is in possession of it. What we do know is the fact that it is much more powerful than Kamen Rider Revice and much more agile than Kamen Rider Revice. What is the identity of this new evil rider? Well, only time will tell. Spider-Man does whatever a spider can. He is now a Kamen Rider, just like Yoshi Sudarsa predicted. I'm just kidding, guys. How are you doing? Welcome to Rider Time Podcast here on the Morphin Network, and we're doing a new episode of Kamen Rider Revice. And boy, was it quite an episode. It was very interesting to watch. We're definitely going back to a better pace in the show compared to the last time. But what did you guys think of the episode? Let us know in the comments, whether you're on Facebook or on YouTube. And of course, this show is live. And today we are discussing our current episode, episode 7, Theft, Skateboard. I am Kagero. And of course, I am TimeRider Zero, your host. And well, what I think of the episode, we definitely get some better pacing in this one compared to the last two episodes. We see more of Kamen Rider Evil, and finally we see the much anticipated Kamen Rider Demon. Oh boy, do I have a few things to say about Kamen Rider Demon. But of course, let's get right to it. So, the episode begins with a group of criminals doing parkour, so you can tell that these are definitely teenagers. They're practically outrunning the police, which kind of gives me a bit of a Lupin Ranger vibe, but that's neither here or there. But they do get cornered, and out of nowhere, a level 2 dead man shows up and gives them a nod to tell them, yeah, I got this. I'll cover you. You get away. I'll fight off these police officers. Now, I do have a few things to say about this dead man. I'm going to be honest. When George said that this was a cheetah dead man, I was a little taken aback because honestly, this looks more like a spider dead man with the abdomen of a wasp. I don't know if you guys felt the same way about that, but honestly, it felt like a spider with the abdomen of a wasp. But apparently it's a cheetah, and he's very fast. So, of course, the next day, George, riding on a skateboard, tells that there is no land animal that could outpace a cheetah. But we do have a vice temp that could help us make something more agile, at least, so that we could at least be a little bit competitive with it. Behold, the Jackal of Vice Stamp. And of course, while Kamen Rider Revi looks really cool in this, honestly, this diagram kind of reminds me of Metroid when you open the menu to check on your abilities. Unfortunately, Vice, on the other hand, doesn't look too hot. Honestly, Kamen Rider Vice in Jackal form kind of reminds me like one of the monsters from Kamen Rider X. But that's just me. I don't know. Like, does this look like something from Kamen Rider X to you? Because it really does to me. But of course, Vice is not having any of it. He wants to look radical, This, of course, offends George, which means that no Jackal Vice stamp for Revi or Vice. However, when asking about Kamen Rider Evil, the evil rider that attacked them recently, unfortunately, the head of Phoenix has no clue about what's going on. Of course, both George and the chief are both suspicious that it could be Daiji, but there's not enough proof to determine that it's really him, because the only thing they have to work off of is the fact that Daiji has recently been in a lot of distress ever since that he failed in that one mission when in the first episode. So Ikki talks to Daiji, tries to be a good brother to him. And of course, Daiji says, "Listen, man, I got my own things to do, like playing around on my Phoenix phone. You go fight that dead man. I'll catch up to you later." But of course, as soon as Ikki leaves, Daiji does his best impression of Richard III and says, "Go tread the path from which thou shalt ne'er return. Simple, poor Clarence, I do love thee so much so that I'll soon send you to your maker." Anyways, but enough historical Shakespeare plays. Daiji is possessed by his own inner dead man, Kagero. I don't know why I thought it was Kuro something because the word black, but no, it is Kage, meaning shadow. So you can understand how I got those two words confused, especially if I watch an episode in distress. But enough about that. So this one teenager is playing a fighting game that my partner is a huge fan of. But of course, he's not doing too hot. And turns out he is one of the thieves from the previous night. Now, back in the bathhouse, the regular customer from the previous episode, who turns out to be an excellent detective, he managed to narrow down the list of suspects to these 4 high school students because one, the city security footage shows that one of the criminals did have a school team jersey, possibly from a gymnastics team from this school. Incidentally, these 4 students were also recently suspended from school. So you putting 4 and 4 together, we were able to deduce that it might be one of these guys. Next, Hiromi finds Daiji unconscious in the bathroom. And of course, he's wearing this black outfit, and Daiji wakes up without any memory of what happened in the past. He doesn't even know why he's wearing this outfit. But of course, Hiromi feels very suspicious of what's going on. Now, the police try to corner the suspects, and they get attacked by the cheetah dead man. I have a hard time saying cheetah considering how much this looks like a freaking spider with the abdomen of a wasp. But of course, because this is a level 2 dead man, meaning that the contract holder is the actual monster and not just a stand user. Revi tries to reason with him, put his hand on his shoulder, try to see eye to eye, just like in episode 4. But unfortunately, this did not turn out so well. First, they try to use the Mammoth Vice stamp in order to use boomerangs to fight him off. Unfortunately, he's too fast to be hit by the boomerangs. Then they try to use Eagle Remix formation, but unfortunately, the Cheetah Dead Man is also too agile to try to flank from above, and manages to hop on their back and cause them to go crashing. Later on, we go to Sakura's dojo, where she tries to have a conversation with one of her students because thankfully her mom is recovering and their dad wants to celebrate by going to an onsen, which is kind of weird because don't they already own a bathhouse? And of course, because Julio is trying to infiltrate to the dojo, he tries to pull an Andy and go Yeah, I totally feel you, Mike. Really? Tell me, Andy, what is it? What is it that I just said? And Pam was He thinks he's doing a good job infiltrating the dojo, but I'm just not feeling it. Anyways, Daiji once again wakes up in an alleyway and sees his reflection where he meets Kamen Rider Ryuga. I'm just kidding. It's not evil Shinji. It's not Adam. It's Kagero. Although if it was Adam, I'm pretty sure Adam would be, "You're lucky. At least you have family. I don't get to see mine for 11 years." But of course, Daiji does find out that Kagero's goal is to fulfill his quote unquote wish, which is to erase Ikki from existence. And of course, he does talk smack about him. It's like, "Oh, baby little Igarashi Jr., you can't even live to the shadow of your big brother. He will always be the Takatora of the family, and you will be nothing but little Michi." And yes, that is a Gaim reference I just made. But of course, Kagero does possess his body. Meanwhile, Vice does try to apologize for for talking poorly about George's designs, and he's like, "Okay, I'll do whatever you want. Just give us a but at least make my new form look more radical." He's like, "You want a radical new form? Okay, I'll give you a radical new form. I'll make it the most radical form you'll ever see in your life." And also, it just hit me that George kind of looks like Dagger Boy. Not gonna lie. I think it's the eyebrows and the glasses, but he kind of looks like Dagger Boy. Not gonna lie. Come on, Chinchilla. This is the power you pop in any minute now to try to get my goat. But anyways, okay, so Ikki tries to investigate the four families, but of course, when talking to the principal first, he does reveal that one of the four students that was suspended is actually overseas now. So there's actually only 3 students, which makes things very suspicious. But trying to investigate one of the other 3 students, he finds out that the father of that student is missing. He was supposed to be working at a hospital, but he has been gone for a couple of days now. In addition, it's almost the entrance exams for his son, who's supposed to be become a doctor to take over the family clinic, but he's also gone. And of course, you got some yentas spying on the police because yentas be yentaing. Meanwhile, at Phoenix headquarters, Hiromi receives this demon driver, which comes with both a spider vice stamp and, of course, something that clearly takes place after the final episode of Saber. I have to say, this is a little confused. This feels like Batwoman Season 1 level of confusing, where it's not clear at what point did Crisis on Infinite Earth happen in that season, but the less I talk about Batwoman, the better. Anyways, so of course, Hiromi has to deliver the Jackal Vice Stamp while also getting this new belt just in case. So the 3 boys try to turn themselves into the police, but of course, the cheetah dead man breaks into the prison and tries to pull his son out of there before he can turn himself in, which I don't know. I feel like is the opposite of that one video with those protesters a couple of years ago where the mom pulls her son out of there. But of course, Ikki tries to stop him and says, "Listen, your son may not want to be a doctor. Have you thought about listening to him? And if he wants to turn himself for committing a crime that he committed, you should let him, because that is being a responsible adult, unlike someone I'm looking at." So naturally, they start fighting. But unfortunately, Kamen Rider Evil jumps in and starts using his Super Silverizer in order to fight Kamen Rider Revi. And of course, Evil does have the upper hand until Hiromi steps in and he uses his new belt in order to transform. using the spider vice stamp. And one thing I really appreciate, or one thing I can't help but notice, is that this robotic spider that appears in his transformation sequence, it straight up looks like that computer chip from Spider-Man, from the MCU, because it looks like that Spider Mantle where like all the computer programming is in. It just feels weird how similar it looks. But instead of being on his chest, it's on his shoulder. So of course he becomes Kamen Rider Demon. And yeah, this is literally Spider-Man if he was a Kamen Rider. Of course, I prefer Yoshi and Peter's costumes a little bit better, but I do appreciate the extra set of eyes on the sides of the helmet. Now, of course, using the Jackal Vice stamp, Revy does become his Jackal form, which is, of course, based on Kamen Rider Ex-Aid. But what is Kamen Rider Vice's new radical appearance? He's a skateboard. He turns into a skateboard. He's a skateboard. And I love how George said, "Oh, you said you wanted a radical new form. I got you a radical new form." And so, of course, Kamen Rider Revy starts skateboarding in a skate park in order to chase the cheetah Deadman, and somehow he's actually keeping up with him. And I can't help but feel like it's only in a skate park where would actually be a viable strategy. But okay, let's work with it. And of course, using a bunch of cool skateboard moves, he does manage to turn the tables on him. He does a really cool hit mode top move. Top. Meanwhile, Demon is fighting Evil, and of course, while he does hold his own against Evil, Kamen Rider Evil does make a getaway. Meanwhile, they do manage to defeat the cheetah Deadman by using a rider kick that involves the skateboard being attached to his foot. And yes, this finisher was pretty radical. Later in that evening, the boy turns himself in and apologizes to his father, saying, "Listen, I'm sorry that I have no direction in life, but the thing is, I do want to become a man. I just want to figure out what kind of man I want to be. And, we both need to own up and turn ourselves in. Can't we do that, Dad?" And of course, Icky and Vice are like, "All's well that ends well." And that's how the episode ends. So tell us what you guys think of the episode. Did you like it? Did you dislike it? What do you want to see happen next? Let us know in the comments, whether you're on YouTube or on Facebook. Me, I like the episode. It was a little bit better than the previous one where, my issue with the previous episode is that they gave away too much early on when we're trying to solve a mystery. And it's kind of interesting how Icky is basically running a bathhouse while being a Kamen Rider, but ultimately what he's been doing the last few episodes is just being a detective. I like that he's a detective, even though it's not his job. And I love how he has this customer who does all the snooping around for him while he does the on-field investigation. It's kind of like a young Shotaro with a chubby older Philip. But the second writer isn't Philip though. It's a demon. And and the detective work was actually a lot more interesting in this episode compared to the previous one. While I do like the idea that the previous episode did have a corrupt judge working with a lawyer, they did a better job with the whole unraveling of the mystery. And I can appreciate that. And I also like the fact that there's more nuance here in that three of the criminals legitimately wanted to turn themselves in, but the fourth wouldn't let them. And I really like that. And And I love that someone's actually taking accountability for that, because in the previous episode, the judge and lawyer, like, it didn't seem like they were sorry for what they did. In fact, when they were caught by Icky, it's like, what consequences did they suffer for it? Because I didn't see any of that. As for Julio, I'm curious. I want to see how things play out with the whole Julio and Sakura thing. But, I don't know. I feel like things are not gonna work out the way Julio expected, because the way he's acting, it's literally, it's like Andy from season 3 of The Office, where he's like trying to kiss up to Michael so hard that he's failing at it. But it would be interesting if somehow he does turn into a baby face, because he went in too deep in his disguise and got too close to Sakura. That would be very interesting. I don't know. I give the episode an 8 out of 10. It's definitely better than the previous episode, but and I do like the whole radical skateboard thing, but I feel like this isn't going to be a thing that shows up very often, because how often can you use a skateboard to fight a monster efficiently, especially if you have a motorcycle in your Vice form? And also, why didn't they just use his pterodactyl Vice stamp? That's what I want to know. Anyways, those are my thoughts. What do you guys think of the episode? Let's go into the comments and find out. So, Spider-Man does whatever a writer can. Yep. I can't believe we finally had a Batman versus Spider-Man crossover. We all been dying to see. I don't know. Me personally, okay, Spider-Man's my favorite Marvel. Batman's my favorite DC. But honestly, if it were up to me, I would rather have a crossover between between Batman and Daredevil. And the way we could play this out in a way where Harvey Dent is suing Bruce Wayne, and he hires Matt Murdock as his lawyer. So we have Matt Murdock versus Harvey Dent in a court. And we got Kingpin teaming up with Lex Luthor. And because Batman gets injured at some point, we're going to have Matt Murdock put on the bat suit. So we got a Batman who's literally as blind as a bat. That is the crossover I want to see. Just saying. Marvel, DC, if you make this crossover, please make it happen. I'll even write the plot for you. You just gotta draw the panels for it. Okay, you want the Demon Driver? Well, you can get it on Premium Bandai. Right now, I'm next writer being snake themed. Yes, the snake theme, because we got a spider, a bat, and you got a snake. Just like, and you know what I love about Kamen Rider Drive is that if you have the brake gunner from Machine Chaser, his 3 viral cores are spider, bat, and snake. So I like that. Honestly, bat is my favorite of the 3, but it is what it is. But yes, they do throw a lot of Ichigo references in this season, and I like that. Okay, to fight the next level dead man, we have to create living men. Ha! I get it. So it's a spider, cheetah, dead man, and advanced contract. My sub says phase 2 or something. Yeah, it is phase 2, because keep in mind, in phase 2, so just like in episode 4, if you make an advanced contract, you become a level 2 dead man, where instead of summoning your dead man, you fuse with the dead man to become the dead man. And of course, your dead man form is different from the one that you were summoning in level 1. So it's kind of weird. If you really think about it, it's kind of like the 2 main characters from S. Cried, because you have one character who becomes his armament while the other one summons their armament. I really need to rewatch that anime. It was so fun, but I only got to see a couple of episodes. Of course, Cougar's my favorite character in Escride. Okay. When you write in a costume designer disagree on what monster is appropriate for a debut episode. I like Humanoid Jackal better than the board. Really? Huh. That's interesting. Wait, shadow of himself? Does that mean that when he works through his issues and accepts himself, he'll awaken a persona? Ha! Persona. Alucard. Imagine if Purple Mo, while trying to be an evil spy, got Uno reversed and remembers the good parts of being human and joins the good guys. Purple Mo, I get it. It's Three Stooges reference. With the past couple of seasons, does it feel like Kamen Rider is trying to play to a Western audience in small ways, like the Magids all being half Western and George is not much in isolation? Yeah. Yeah, and I noticed in this episode he has a tendency to say what? What? And at one point he even tells Kamen Rider, shut up. Okay, but it could be the start of a pattern. Yeah, it could be. Spider-Man has worked with Kamen Rider back in the Showa era. Yes, he has. Spider-Man has a Toku series with a mech. I know. 1978. He's the reason why Battle Fever J has a giant robot. You don't need to lecture me about Japanese Spider-Man, who I swear looks like a Family Guy joke from a certain episode. Let's be honest. Tony Hawk outspeeds birds confirmed. I love the part that had demons. Yes, but it feels early to introduce them. I do not disagree with you on. You want a W crossover, W build Revice. Okay, that'd be interesting. All the 2-for-1 riders. Five's form is fat and not good for city pursuit. I don't know. He is pretty good for aerial pursuit. Bats have mostly good vision, though. I know, but the point is, Matt Murdock is blind, and he's dressed up as a bat. That's the joke. Okay. Okay. Well, that's it for the comments. Thank you, Kuma, for keeping me company. And of course, if you like our content, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to our Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and in the case of YouTube, be sure to ding the bell icon because the YouTube dead man really want to mess with the algorithm. And of course, if you like watching our reviews for Kamen Rider Revice, be sure to check out our reviews for previous episodes, our reviews for Kamen Rider Saber and 01, and if you want to see some other tokusatsu that we review, be sure to check out our other show, Superhero Special, Sentai Hero Special, where we review Kikai Sentai Zenkaiger, and Ranger Comic Live, where we talk about where we review the Boom Studios comics, and of course a Ranger Podcast Live, where tonight we will be reviewing an episode of Power Rangers Dino Fury. More accurately, we'll be reviewing episode 16-hour Hero, or is it 17? Can't remember. but yes, we'll be reviewing the episode Our Hero later today, actually in 2 hours from now, and of course you can check out our recent interviews such as Hunter Dino, Tessa Rao, Samuel Benta, and David Bacon. And we are going to have a few new interviews coming up, so stick around for upcoming announcements. So be sure to keep an eye out for that. And of course, if you want to see some more of my own content besides ranting about certain things I would like to see in Kamen Rider, you can follow me on Instagram at chrono_cosplay, and you can follow me on Twitch at twitch.tv/BokenKabuto, where I am playing through the Metroid series. I know I needed to take a quick break for a moment, but I am playing through the Metroid series. Oh boy. And And of course, thank you for watching our show. And I hope you all have a good day. And I'll see you in 2 hours. Bye, guys.
Today's Morphin Network video is brought to you by Carson's Corner. Carson's Corner is a black LGBTQ owned small business. They sell merchandise and apparel on pop culture franchises. These franchises include King of the Hill, Dragon Ball, Sailor Moon, and of course, most importantly, Power Rangers. If you are interested in getting their amazing merch, be sure to check them out at www.carsonscorner.com.